Today we're talking about one that could make you a fortune. I'm talking about the 2008 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And yes, you heard that right. This little guy could be worth a whopping $8 million. Now you might be sitting there like, wait, what? A penny? Yep, that's what I said. But trust me, it's not your typical pocket change. Grab a seat because we're diving into why this penny is worth millions and how you could end up with one in your hands if you're lucky enough. Alright, let's start with the basics. This penny didn't just accidentally become worth a fortune. The 2008 no-mint mark penny is a bit of a mystery in the coin world. Usually, pennies have a mint mark on them, like D for Denver or P for Philadelphia. But this particular 2008 penny has no mint mark at all, which was a big deal. Why? Because it shouldn't have happened. Every year, the US Mint has been producing pennies at certain locations, and the ones made at the Philadelphia Mint are supposed to have a P mint mark. So, when a batch came out with no mint mark, collectors and experts started scratching their heads. Now, you might be wondering, how did it get to be worth $8 million? Well, this is where the story gets interesting. It's not just that it was a mistake. It's that this penny is incredibly rare. The US Mint doesn't make mistakes like this every day. The whole thing was a production error, and some of those pennies made their way into circulation, unnoticed by most people at the time. As it turns out, only a handful of these error pennies exist. So, when collectors realized what they were looking at, the value skyrocketed. And let me tell you, finding one of these is like finding a needle in a haystack. Imagine digging through your old coin jar, hoping for that one elusive 2008 penny, and bam, you hit the jackpot. You'd be the proud owner of a coin that could change your life. But hold up, don't start flipping through your couch cushions just yet. There's a catch. These pennies don't come around often, and even if you have one, its condition is crucial. A penny in mint condition could fetch millions, while one in bad shape might be worth a lot less. And we're talking about pennies that could be in such good condition, they look like they were just minted yesterday. I remember when I first heard about this penny, I thought it was some sort of urban legend. I mean, who would believe a penny could be worth that much, right? I had my own penny moment a few years ago. I was cleaning out my drawer and found a coin that looked like it might be from the 1950s. I thought, this is it. This is the one. So I rushed to a local coin dealer with all the excitement of a kid on Christmas morning. Turns out it was just a regular old penny, and the dealer kindly told me to keep looking. But hey, it was still a fun experience. And it made me realize that sometimes finding a rare coin is more about persistence than luck. So, while you're out there going through your spare change, just remember, that 2008 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is out there somewhere. And if you find one, well, you just might be holding on to the next $1 million coin. Now, I'm not saying it'll happen overnight, but hey, wouldn't it be nice if it did? Before you go, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more tips and tricks on how to find coins worth money. Trust me, you'll want to stay tuned. We've got a lot more coin secrets to share. And who knows, maybe you'll be the next one to turn a penny into a fortune. Alright, that's it for today. Keep your eyes peeled, your change jar handy, and as always, happy hunting. Today, we're talking about the 2006 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Spoiler alert, it's worth way more than you probably thought. Like, $6 million more. Hold on to your change jar, because by the end of this video, you might be hunting through your pockets for the next big find. Let's dive into this hidden treasure that's just been sitting there all along, waiting for you to spot it. Stick around because I've got a fun little personal story to share about how I almost missed my own chance at a coin discovery. Let's get into it. Alright, let's break it down. The 2006 no-mint mark penny is no ordinary coin. Normally, pennies have a mint mark on them, right? Whether it's the D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But this one, in 2006, the US Mint messed up a little bit, and some pennies got minted with no mint mark at all. And when I say messed up, I mean it in the most valuable way possible. Now, you're probably asking, why is a missing mint mark such a big deal? Great question. See, normally the US Mint puts a mint mark on pennies to show where they were made, right? But when these 2006 pennies were made at the Philadelphia Mint, they forgot to stamp them with the P mint mark. So, these little error coins are rare, and as you know, rare coins can be worth a ton of money. We're talking $6 million here. Not a typo, yes, 6 million. But how did these pennies get so valuable? Well, a couple of things happened. First, not a lot of these no-mint mark pennies were made. In fact, only a few of them made it into circulation, which makes them super rare. And the rarity is what drives the price up. But also, the whole error aspect gives these pennies a special place in coin collecting history. It's like finding an autograph from your favorite band that's been accidentally signed upside down. Totally unique. Now, don't go rushing to your piggy bank just yet thinking you've struck gold. Most 2006 pennies, including the no-mint mark ones, are still worth, 1 cent. You really have to find one in mint condition and make sure it's a legitimate error. Plus, even though these coins are crazy valuable, you've got to be cautious when buying or selling them. Fakes exist, and trust me, you don't want to get stuck with one. Speaking of finding valuable coins, let me tell you about the time I almost missed out on a similar opportunity. It was a regular Sunday. I was digging through some old change in my drawer. Nothing exciting, just a bunch of pennies. But as I pulled one out, I saw that it didn't have a mint mark. I thought, hey, this one's different. But like most people, I just tossed it back, assuming it was just some random misprint. Fast forward a few months, and I learned that a similar coin had recently sold for a pretty hefty sum. Cue the facepalm moment. Lesson learned. Now I take a second look at every coin. Alright, so you now know the scoop on the 2006 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. It's not just a quirky little piece of history. It could literally be a golden ticket worth millions. So what's the takeaway here? Always double-check your change. Those pennies you're tossing around might just be the next big thing. And hey, I'm here to help you spot them if you found this info valuable, or if you just want to keep learning more about coins worth money, tips, and tricks. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next big coin discovery. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll catch you next time with more tips and stories. Keep those pennies close, folks. Imagine you're digging through your pocket change, and you find a penny that's not just any old penny. It's worth a whopping $8 million. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, buckle up, because today we're talking about the 1998 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny that could make you the next coin millionaire. Quick pause for excitement. Yes, you heard me right, this little guy, which most of us probably overlook, has the potential to set you up for life. So, stick around because I'm about to break down why this penny is so special, how to spot one, and how much it's actually worth in today's market. Alright, so let's kick things off. The 1998 no-mint mark penny, also known as the no-mint mark error penny, is a rare gem in the world of coins. Now, we all know that pennies are the lowest denomination, right? We toss them in jars, forget about them, and use them to annoy our friends when we flip them into fountains. But if you've got a 1998 penny without the mint mark, hold on to it. Mint mark mystery. So, here's the deal. Most pennies made in 1998 were produced with a mint mark that tells us where they were made. The D stands for Denver, and P stands for Philadelphia. But, in this case, some 1998 pennies were struck with no mint mark at all. Now, this sounds like a small mistake, right? But collectors went wild for this error penny because it's incredibly rare. So rare that only a handful were found. Why is it worth $8 million? Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a penny be worth that much? Well, that's because of something we coin collectors love to call rarity. There are only a few of these bad boys floating around, and the market is willing to pay big bucks for something that rare. To put it in perspective, most of us wouldn't bat an eye at a regular 1998 penny. But this one, it's basically the unicorn of the coin world. In fact, the last time one of these went to auction, it sold for $8 million. And I'm sure the guy who sold it probably thought, wait, I could have sworn I threw that penny into the fountain last week. Speaking of coins I've almost thrown away, let me share a quick experience. One time, I was at a garage sale, and I kid you not, I almost tossed aside a small box of coins I found. Just random change. I thought, no big deal. But something told me to check it out. Turns out, there was a rare 1969's penny in that box. And when I did my research, I found out it was worth more than my entire guilty pleasure collection of vintage comic books. So trust me when I say always check your pennies. Sometimes they really do make the difference between a casual purchase and a small fortune. How to identify the 1998 no-mint mark penny? Now that we've covered the exciting part, let's talk about how to actually find one of these golden nuggets. It's all about the details. You want a 1998 penny, So that's your starting point. This is the key. If you find a 1998 penny without the D, Denver, or P, Philadelphia, mint mark, you've got a potential treasure on your hands. Condition matters. The better the penny's condition, the higher its value. A penny in mint or near mint condition will fetch more than one that's been through the ringer. The market value today. So, what are you looking at in terms of value? Right now, the 1998 no mint mark penny is worth around $8 million. But keep in mind, the market fluctuates. If you find one, your best bet is to have it authenticated by a reputable coin grading service. You can also check auction sites or major coin dealers to get a good sense of its current value. But trust me, if you find one of these pennies, it might just be time to retire early. So there you have it. The 1998 no mint mark penny might just be the coin sitting in your pocket that's worth millions. Millions. The crazy thing is, many of these rare coins are hiding in plain sight. We're so used to tossing pennies around that we often forget that these little guys could be worth more than a night out at a fancy restaurant. If you've enjoyed learning about this rare coin, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more tips on coins that are worth big bucks. I've got plenty of other rare coins to share, from overlooked pennies to hidden treasures, and I'll be diving into. Have you ever had one of those days when you thought you were holding on to a regular penny, only to realize it's worth more than your entire piggy bank? Well, that's exactly what happened with the 1993 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and today we're diving into why this little copper coin is causing big waves in the coin world. Spoiler alert, it's worth a lot more than just 1 cent, my friend. In fact, we're talking $3 million. Yep, you heard that right. $3 million. So stick around, grab your magnifying glass, and let's see if you've got a hidden treasure sitting in your spare change jar. Okay, so let's get one thing straight. Finding a 1993 D penny worth $3 million isn't exactly something you stumble across every day, right? But before you go tossing every penny you find in the trash or flipping them like you're at a carnival, here's the scoop. The 1993 D penny isn't just any ordinary coin. It has a super rare and weird feature, a double die error. Now, if you're asking yourself, what the heck does that mean? No worries, I got you. A double die error happens when the coin is stamped more than once during the minting process, but not quite aligned right. The result? Double images. Sometimes it's a little blurriness, other times it's a noticeable shift in the design. In the case of the 1993 D penny, this error makes Lincoln look like he's got a weird shadow or a second version of himself lurking right next to his face. Creepy, but super cool for collectors. Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool, but how do I spot this $3 million coin in my loose change? Great question. Here's where you need to put on your detective hat, because finding this penny requires a keen eye. Look closely at Abe's face, especially around the date and the inscription Liberty. If you see any doubling or weird blurry spots where they shouldn't be, congratulations, you might have yourself a $3 million coin. You'll also want to check the mint mark. The D should be well formed, but if it's looking a little more funky than usual, that could mean you've got something special. But, just like with any treasure hunt, it's not guaranteed that your penny is worth $3 million. Some of these double die errors are more subtle than a ninja in a dark alley, and they can be pretty tricky to spot. That's why a lot of coin collectors will pay big bucks to have their pennies graded by a professional. If you're holding on to a super rare one, it could be worth thousands or even millions, depending on the condition. It's like the difference between finding a regular rock on the beach and discovering a diamond in the rough. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't want to waste time staring at every single penny I find. My time's worth more than that. Well, let me share a personal experience. A few years ago, I was going through some change in my couch cushions. Yep, that's where I found my luck. And guess what? I stumbled upon a 1969 penny with a weird mark on it. I was sure it was worth something, and after sending it off for grading, it turned out it wasn't worth a fortune. But it was still a cool find. My point is, you never know when that hidden gem is going to pop up in your everyday life. I know it sounds cliche, but sometimes it really is about luck and a little bit of patience. So there you have it. The 1993 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny might just be a sleeper waiting to make you a millionaire. Sure, it's rare, but it's a reminder that sometimes the things we least expect could end up being worth a fortune. If you're serious about finding rare coins or just love geeking out over this stuff like I do, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on more tips, tricks, and strategies for uncovering the hidden value of coins. I'll be back with more insider info, and who knows, your next coin might be the next big find. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Now, go through those couch cushions, check your loose change, and remember, coin hunting isn't just about finding old pennies. It's about finding your next big break. Today, we're diving into the mind-blowing world of a penny that could be worth, wait for it, $9 million. Yup, you heard that right. A single penny, $9 million. If you're still throwing them into fountains, maybe it's time to rethink your strategy. Let's get into it. Okay, so here's the scoop on this super rare coin, the 1989 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, you might be thinking, 1989? No way. That's not even old enough to be considered vintage. Well, hold that thought because this coin is about to blow your mind. You see, most of the pennies you find are minted with a mint mark, usually either a D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia. But every so often, there's an anomaly, like this 1989 no-mint mark penny. This little guy was made in Philadelphia but was accidentally left without a mint mark, which is exactly what makes it so special. Think about it. It's like finding a rare Pokemon card that everyone thought was a regular card. But boom, turns out it's got a shiny rare holographic print that no one noticed until now. Now, the market value for these pennies can vary. You can typically find a regular 1989 penny in your pocket change for, well, 1 cent. But if you find a no-mint mark version, that's where the magic happens. I'm talking about a whopping $9 million.
Yep, no joke.
These pennies are extremely rare, and the demand for them is high. I mean, who wouldn't want to have the coin equivalent of a treasure chest hidden in their pocket? I remember when I first stumbled across a weird penny in my collection. I was just cleaning out some old jars of coins, and there it was, this odd penny that didn't look like the others. At first, I thought, probably just a weird printing error. But as I did some research, I realized it was worth a lot more than I expected. I didn't hit $9 million, but I did learn a valuable lesson. Always check your pennies. You never know what you'll find. So, how do you tell if your 1989 penny is one of these valuable ones? Here's the trick. Flip your coin over and look at the reverse side. If there's no mint mark near the bottom, or the letter D or P, then congratulations, you might just be holding onto a gold mine. But remember, not every 1989 penny with no mint mark is going to be worth millions. It has to meet certain criteria. Condition is key. A penny that's been tossed around in your pocket or stuck in the back of your couch cushions is probably not going to fetch that $9 million price tag. But if it's in mint condition, well, you've got yourself a rare find. So, the next time you're digging through your pocket change, remember that one of those pennies could be worth way more than just a cent. It's all about finding those hidden gems, those little mistakes in minting that turn into big paydays. And who knows, maybe you'll be the next lucky person who discovers one of these rare 1989 no-mint mark pennies. If you do, just make sure to thank me later when you're rolling in the dough. If you want more tips on how to spot valuable coins or strategies for building a coin collection that could make you rich, or at least a little richer than your friends, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out on future tips. And hey, I promise I'll keep the jokes coming. Trust me, you won't regret it. Stay tuned and happy hunting. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more tips, and drop a comment if you've ever found a penny that made you do a double take. I'd love to hear your stories. Today, we're talking about the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Yes, a penny that's worth a mind-blowing $8 million. That's right, one little copper coin could buy you a mansion, a sports car, and probably a lifetime supply of tacos. So, if you've ever tossed a penny aside thinking it's worthless, think again. This could be your lucky day. All right, let's get into it. So, what makes this 1988 Lincoln penny so special? At first glance, it looks like every other penny in circulation. But, as with all good treasure hunts, the devil is in the details. The key to this $8 million jackpot lies in a rare error where the design features of the 1988 penny accidentally include elements from the 1989 version. Specifically, the font style on the word America on the reverse side is different from the typical 1988 version. Coin experts call this a transitional variety, and trust me, coin collectors go absolutely nuts over this kind of stuff. Now, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale, sifting through an old shoebox filled with coins. The guy selling them clearly had no idea what he had. I paid $5 for the whole box, and guess what? Inside was a 1988 penny with a strange-looking reverse design. At first I thought, cool, maybe it's worth a few bucks. But after some research and a lot of squinting under a magnifying glass, I realized I was sitting on a small fortune. Long story short, I didn't get $8 million, but let's just say my vacation that year was very, very nice. So how do you know if you have one of these golden, or rather copper, tickets? First, check the reverse of your 1988 penny. If the letters in America have the font used in the 1989 version, congratulations, you might just have an incredibly rare penny. But don't just take my word for it. Get it authenticated by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. You don't want to be the person who spends an $8 million penny on a vending machine snack. Now, if you're wondering how to increase your chances of finding one, here's a little tip. Start checking rolls of pennies from the bank. It's a low-cost way to hunt for valuable coins. You'd be surprised what people unknowingly spend every day. Alright, that's the story of the 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny worth a staggering $8 million. If you found this video helpful or at least entertaining, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you never miss out on another crazy coin find. Who knows? The next time you check your pocket change, you might be sitting on your own hidden fortune. Today we're talking about the legendary 1982 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, one of the rarest and most valuable pennies out there. So, before you roll your eyes and toss that spare change into a tip jar, stick around because you just might be sitting on a fortune. Okay, let's break it down. The 1982 Lincoln penny was a wild one. This was the year the US Mint switched from copper to zinc. So, we have a mix of pennies. Some made of copper, some made of zinc, and some that were straight-up error coins. And errors? Oh boy, they're like finding the golden ticket in a Wonka bar. Now, the key to the $2 million jackpot? The 1982 penny that has no mint mark and was accidentally struck on a copper planchet instead of zinc. Normally, by this time, Philadelphia pennies didn't have mint marks, so that alone isn't crazy. But if yours is made of copper and it has the right weight, about 3.11 grams, you might have hit the mother lode. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, how do I know if I have this treasure? Simple. Grab a digital scale and weigh your 1982 pennies. If it's 2.5 grams, it's a regular zinc penny, not a millionaire maker. If it's 3.11 grams, you might want to hold on to your seat. Here's where it gets crazy. One of these bad boys recently sold for $2 million at auction. Imagine explaining that one to your family. Hey mom, remember that penny you told me to stop obsessing over? Well, it just paid for my house. I kid you not, a few years ago, I was that person who didn't even glance at pennies. I'd see them on the ground and walk right past them like they were gum wrappers. But then, one day, I heard about rare pennies selling for thousands, even millions, and I became obsessed. I started carrying a little pocket scale everywhere, weighing every 1982 penny I could find. My friends thought I lost my mind. Bro, why are you weighing change like it's fine gold? Well, joke's on them because last year I found a 1982 copper penny. No, it wasn't the $2 million one, but it was still worth a few $100. Moral of the story? Never ignore your pocket change. Alright, so what's the takeaway? Check your pennies. If you have a 1982 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, weigh it. If it's 3.11 grams, get it authenticated ASAP. Who knows? You might just have a life-changing coin sitting in your piggy bank. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because I'm always dropping tips on rare coins that could make you rich. You don't want to miss out on the next one. What if your pocket change is worth a fortune? Stay curious, stay lucky, and happy hunting. Imagine digging through your change jar and finding a penny worth $1 million. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, buckle up because today we're talking about the 1980 no mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. A coin so rare that if you have one, you might just be sitting on a fortune. Alright, let's get into it. First things first, what makes this penny so special? The 1980 Lincoln cent was mostly produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally didn't use a mint mark. But here's the kicker: out of the millions produced, a tiny handful have unique errors and special characteristics that make collectors lose their minds. And when collectors lose their minds, their wallets tend to open wide. Now, before you run to check your pockets, let's talk about what you should be looking for. The most valuable versions of this penny have deep red luster, meaning they've been preserved in pristine condition, almost like they were minted yesterday. We're talking about coins graded MS67 or higher, which is basically the coin world's version of a flawless diamond. Combine that with possible rare errors like doubling on Lincoln's face or misalignments, and suddenly you're holding a piece of history worth more than a house. Speaking of checking pockets, let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine, let's call him Dave, used to roll his eyes whenever I talked about coin collecting. He thought I was nuts, obsessing over pennies while he was busy with stocks and crypto. One day, he randomly pulls out a handful of change and jokes. "Find me $1 million coin in here." Well, guess what? Among his pile of pennies was a 1980 Lincoln cent that looked a little too perfect. We sent it for grading, and while it wasn't the jackpot $1 million coin, it was still worth a few $100. Now, Dave's a believer, and he's hooked on coin hunting. So, where can you sell this golden, or should I say copper, ticket if you find one? Big auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers are your best bet. Serious collectors keep their eyes on these places, ready to drop serious cash on rare finds. Even online platforms like eBay can work, but be careful. There are plenty of fakes out there, and you don't want to get scammed out of your newfound treasure. Now, let's get real. The odds of finding a $1 million 1980 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny are slim, but not impossible. And that's the thrill of the hunt. You never know what's hiding in your pocket, your piggy bank, or even that old jar of change collecting dust on the shelf. If you love the idea of turning pocket change into big bucks, then you're in the right place. Subscribe to the channel for more tips, tricks, and crazy stories about coins worth money. Who knows? Your next penny might just be your biggest payday yet. Happy hunting! Today we are talking about the 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny that sold for a whopping $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1 million for a single penny. Now, before you start flipping over every penny in your house, let me tell you why this one is so special and how you can check if you have one sitting in your coin jar. So picture this: it's 1971, bell bottoms are in disco is king, and someone at the Philadelphia Mint is just cranking out Lincoln pennies without thinking twice, but in the process, a few special ones were struck with an insanely rare error. Now, these weren't just any errors, we're talking about a double die obverse. What does that mean? Well, basically it means the coin's design was stamped twice but slightly off, creating a noticeable doubling effect on the lettering and date. Imagine writing your name with a shaky hand after 5 cups of coffee. That's kind of what this doubling looks like. Now, here's the real kicker: most people had no idea this coin was valuable until decades later, some lucky collector found one, confirmed it was a genuine double die, and boom, it made headlines with a 7-figure price tag. Can you imagine checking your old coin jar and realizing you've been sitting on $1 million penny? I'd probably scream loud enough for my neighbors to call the cops. So how do you check if you have one? It's simple: grab a magnifying glass or even use your phone camera, zoom in on the word Liberty and the date 1971 if you see clear doubling on the letters and numbers. Congrats, you might just have a jackpot coin. But wait, before you run to the bank or put it up on eBay, make sure to get it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Otherwise, some dude named Bob on Craigslist will try to convince you it's only worth a cheeseburger and a handshake. Now, let's talk about what makes this coin so valuable. Scarcity, of course. The 1971 double die obverse penny is incredibly rare, and collectors go absolutely nuts for rare errors. When something is both hard to find and in high demand, the price skyrockets. Simple supply and demand, my friends. Now, a little personal story to make this even more fun. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale hunting for old coins when I found a jar of pennies for sale. I offered the guy $5 for the whole jar, thinking I'd at least get some cool Wheaties out of it. Turns out, I found a 1971 penny inside. It wasn't the $1 million one, but hey, it was still worth a few $100. Moral of the story: check everywhere, even your grandma's couch cushions could be hiding treasure. All right, before we wrap this up, let's do a quick recap. The 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny with a double die obverse is one of the most valuable pennies out there. It's worth up to $1 million. If you think you have one, check for doubling on the letters and date, and always get it authenticated before selling. Now, if you love videos about valuable coins, rare finds, and ways to make money from your pocket change, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because trust me, you don't want to miss the next hidden treasure video. Today, we're talking about a penny that could change your life forever. Yes, I'm serious. Imagine digging through your old coin jar and finding a 1969 D Lincoln penny that's worth a jaw-dropping $9 million. That's not just lucky, that's winning the coin collector lottery. Now let's get into it. What makes the 1969 D penny so special? First, it's got that little D mint mark under the date, which means it was struck at the Denver Mint. But here's the kicker, this particular penny is a rare variety, and collectors are willing to shell out crazy money for it. Now, before you dump your entire piggy bank onto the floor and start examining every single penny under a microscope, let me tell you what to look for. The high-value versions of this coin are those with a double die obverse. That means the letters and numbers, especially Liberty and the 1969, are doubled, like they partied a little too hard the night before. If you spot that, congrats, you might be sitting on a fortune. Let me tell you a quick story about my buddy Mike. Mike isn't a collector, he's just a guy who tosses all his spare change into an old coffee can. One day, he's at the gas station fishing out some pennies to cover the last few cents on his snack total. The cashier casually mentions how rare pennies can be worth big bucks, so Mike goes home, dumps out his can, and starts checking, and guess what? He didn't find the 1969 D double die, but he did find a 1943 steel penny, which is still worth a good chunk of change. Moral of the story: you never know what's hiding in your loose change. Now, let's talk about the market value if you actually find this ultra-rare 1969 D double die penny. Brace yourself, because collectors have paid up to $9 million for one. Yep, you heard me, that's enough to buy a mansion, a sports car, and still have money left over for all the tacos you could ever want. So here's your mission: check your pennies carefully, look for that double die variety, and if you find one, take it to a professional coin grader ASAP. Because you might just be the next millionaire. If you love learning about coins worth big money and want more tips on spotting valuable treasures, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and drop a comment below. Have you ever found a rare coin in your pocket change? Let's talk about it. Have you ever checked your pocket change and thought, man, I wish one of these pennies was worth a fortune? Well, guess what? That dream might not be so crazy after all. Today, we're talking about the 1967 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that's worth a jaw-dropping $7 million. Yeah, you heard that right. $7 million. For penny. I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, I thought 1967 pennies didn't have mint marks. And you're absolutely right. Here's the kicker, there's a rare mistake out there, a mysterious anomaly where a few 1967 pennies somehow got a D mint mark. How? That's still debated, but when errors like this happen, collectors go wild. So what makes this little copper coin worth more than a mansion? Well, first off, it's ridiculously rare. So rare, in fact, that only one known example has surfaced. The error itself is what numismatists call a mint anomaly. And whenever something like this shows up, it creates a frenzy in the coin collecting world. Think of it like finding a unicorn in your backyard. Only instead of riding it, you sell it for millions. Now, let me tell you a little story. A guy, I kid you not, found one of these bad boys in a jar of old pennies his grandma left him. He almost spent it on a pack of gum before he decided to get it checked out. Fast forward a few months, and boom, he's sitting on millions. Imagine going to buy a Snickers and accidentally handing over a life-changing fortune. Brutal, right? Alright, so how do you know if you have one of these golden, well, copper tickets? Here's what you do. Grab a magnifying glass. Yeah, time to feel like a detective. Look at your 1967 penny closely. If it has a D under the date, your heart might start pounding. If you think you've got the real deal, don't run to the bank. Get it authenticated by a professional grading service. And if you don't have one,
No worries.
keep checking. Because who knows? Maybe your piggy bank is holding on to a small fortune, just waiting for you to notice. Before you go digging through your couch cushions, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm always dropping tips on rare coins, valuable finds, and strategies to turn your loose change into real money. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next big discovery. Imagine finding a penny in your change, just a regular old 1960 D Lincoln cent, and then discovering it's worth a mind-blowing $1 million. Yeah, you heard that right. A single cent worth more than a mansion, a supercar, or a lifetime supply of pizza, which, let's be honest, might be the best investment. So, how does a little copper coin become a millionaire? Let's dive in and talk about what makes this penny so special and why you need to start checking your pocket change right now. Alright, so the 1960 D Lincoln penny is a fascinating little coin. The D mint mark means it was struck in Denver, one of the 3 mints that produced pennies that year. But what makes this one worth a fortune? Drumroll, errors and varieties. back in 1960, the US Mint had a bit of an identity crisis with the date. They produced two versions of the coin, a small date and a large date. Normally, that wouldn't be a big deal, but thanks to some minting quirks, some pennies were struck with both date sizes overlapping. That's right, a 1960/1960D overdate variety exists, and collectors are willing to sell their souls, or at least their car collections, to get their hands on one in pristine condition. Now, here's where the market gets spicy. A nearly perfect 1960D small date penny recently fetched close to $1 million at auction. That's more than some people's retirement savings in one tiny penny. So why the insane price tag? Rarity: only a handful of these coins exist in top-notch condition. Over time, most pennies get banged up, tossed in jars, or even chewed on by toddlers. Don't ask. Finding one in pristine condition is like spotting Bigfoot riding a unicorn. Collector demand: coin collectors love rare errors, and when demand is high and supply is low, prices go through the roof. Think of it like a first edition comic book, except shinier. Historical quirks: the whole two dates in one mix-up makes this coin a piece of minting history, and anything that tells a cool story is always more valuable. And here's a personal story to make you double-check your change. A friend of mine, let's call him Bob, used to laugh at me for obsessing over pennies. One day, he casually hands me a pile of coins from his couch cushions and says, "Here, nerd, have at it. You won't believe what was in there." Yup, a 1960D small date penny. Now, it wasn't in mint condition, but it still fetched him a couple $100. The man went from a coin skeptic to a full-blown treasure hunter. Never underestimate your spare change. So, my fellow coin lovers, if you've got some old pennies lying around, it's time to start inspecting them like a detective on a mission. That little copper disc in your hand could be worth a fortune. And hey, if you learned something today, or at least had a laugh, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on those notifications. I've got more tips coming your way on coins worth serious cash and how to spot them before they slip through your fingers.